as much as I don't want to talk about it, we have to talk about the next steps in this fascist takeover that Donald Trump is trying to do on American soil using National Guard and the military. And the next step is Chicago. There are a lot of people out there that are denying it, thinking that Donald Trump is a big blowhard and he's not going to do it. But as I have stated many times in the past, Donald Trump, just because he bloviates a lot doesn't mean that half of the shit that he says he's going to do, he actually does. He did invade LA with the National Guards and the Marines. He is currently invading Washington, D.C. using National Guard from West Virginia. So Donald Trump is actually doing, it's almost like a civil war where only one side is fighting. It's a one-sided civil war where Donald Trump is recruiting people from red states to go to major blue city strongholds. And it's trying to get everybody used to having military presence all over the country. That's ultimately what the goal is. And personally, I think that the end goal is in 2026. Do you think that he is not going to have a military presence in every major blue city in this country by October before the election in 2026? If you think that, I got a bridge to sell you. If you don't think that that's going to happen, I got a bridge to sell you, because that is the plan. And like I said, Chicago's next on the list. I mentioned earlier that Donald Trump did that big the Proof of Life press conference at the White House yesterday, and I got a chance to watch the whole thing. And this part right here that we're going to be looking at, this is Donald Trump being asked a question about whether or not he's going to invade Chicago.
And yeah,
Mr. President, have you decided you're definitely going to send National Guard troops to Chicago?
I didn't say when, but the answer is look.
The answer is look. Man talks out of both sides of his mouth. The answer is yes. The answer is absolutely yes. But he doesn't want to say yes, so he can have some plausible deniability.
Chicago's very interesting because I watched Pritzker get up and say about, we don't need help, we're safe. But 2 weeks ago, they had 6 people murdered, and they had 24 people.
Honey, I've talked about this before. 64,000 murders in the United States last year, or every year. It's a high number. There's murders and suicides. There's a lot of people that get killed in America. So Donald Trump is picking that shit out of pepper here. Well, there's 9 people here and there were 7 people over here and there's so many murders. I need an excuse to invade Chicago. I have to do this. You don't have to do this. And the governor of Illinois says, don't do this shit. The mayor of Chicago has already told his police force, you are not going to help out ICE in any way. Now, look, all of these guys, these military guys and the police guys, they are pretty simpatico. So hopefully that actually plays out the way that the Chicago mayor wants. But at the same time, at least they're putting up, the governor of Illinois and the mayor of Chicago are putting up a united front. We'll get to that speech in a minute. It's pretty powerful, but I just want you to hear the rest of this bullshit that Donald Trump has to say.
Hit by bullets. Last week, as you know, it was 7 people, 24 people hit, and 7 people died. And then over the last 2 days, that was the crown jewel. They had, I guess, 9 or 10 killed, and 50 hit with bullets. And you have this governor get up, who's a terrible governor. Probably he and Gavin Newsom would be probably the 2 worst and most naive. They're naive.
Honey, they are not naive. They know exactly what your fascist ass is doing.
They're very untruthful. And he'll say, we don't want any protection.
Untruthful by the guy who is the never-ending fucking liar. The most prolific bullshit artist we have ever seen in our lifetimes. This guy right here, telling us that they are untruthful and they're liars. Fuck you, man. Suck a bag of dicks.
So in the last 3 weeks, he's lost almost 20 people killed. There's no place in the world.
Look, we don't need to hear any more of this bullshit. He is looking for an excuse to extend his military reach into America to do his fascist takeover. Now, I want to get to this video here. Yeah, this is Pritzker. Pritzker gives a press conference on the same day, and he's got some interesting stuff to say.
In the coming days, we expect to see what has played out in Los Angeles and Washington, D.C.
By the way, that's the mayor of Chicago standing right behind him.
to happen here in Chicago. First, Donald Trump is positioning armed federal agents and staging military vehicles on federal property, such as the Great Lakes Naval Base. It is likely those agents will be with ICE, Customs and Border Patrol, the Department of Homeland Security, and other similarly situated federal agencies. Many of these individuals are being relocated from Los Angeles for deployment in Chicago. We believe that staging that has already begun started yesterday and continues into today.
That was on Labor Day.
Second, unidentifiable agents in unmarked vehicles with masks are planning to raid Latino communities and say they're targeting violent criminals.
I mean, this is how it all started in L.A. He sends in ICE, he sends them to Latino neighborhoods, starts a ruckus, starts a brouhaha, and then protests pop off, and people are yelling and screaming, and they'll burn an American flag or they'll burn a car in the middle of the street, and then Donald Trump says, "Oh, crime is out of control. I need to send the military. Need to send the National Guard." He's planning on this happening in Chicago too.
As we saw in Los Angeles, a very, very small percentage of the individuals they will target will be violent criminals. Instead, you're likely to see videos of them hauling away mothers and fathers, traveling to work or picking up their kids from school. Sometimes they will detain, handcuff, and haul away children. They are law-abiding individuals who pay taxes and contribute to the communities who feel safe going to work and attending mandatory immigration check-ins. In other words, they're following the law.
Yeah, all those people that are doing it, quote unquote, the right way. They're doing their mandatory check-ins. They're following the rules. They are trying desperately to not break those rules so they can stay in this country. And those are the very people that ICE is snatching up first because they're easy pickings. They're actually literally in a courtroom. As soon as they walk out of the courtroom with their case dismissed and, scheduled for the next time that they need to come in and visit, as soon as they walk out into the hallway, ICE arrests them. No due process whatsoever. They had their due process inside the courtroom. They think everything is good, all free and clear, and then they walk outside and immediately detained and sent to a concentration camp, whether it's Alligator, Alcatraz, or Seacot, or the South Sudan, or wherever the fuck they're sending them. Or, maybe it's just a concentration camp that we're building in Texas right now. Which, by the way, I think he mentions in this that the National Guard that they're trying to send to Chicago is from Texas. So like I said, it's red states against blue states, except the blue states aren't fighting back. We're trying to follow the law over here, and Donald Trump is breaking every one of the laws and rules of the Constitution.
We have reason to believe that Stephen Miller chose the month of September to come to Chicago because of celebrations around Mexican Independence Day that happen here every year.
Jesus, that's
It
dark.
breaks my heart to report that we have been told ICE will try and disrupt community picnics and peaceful parades. Let's be clear, the terror and cruelty is the point, not the safety of anyone living here. Third, as lawful citizens exercise their First Amendment rights, Trump and his team will be looking for any excuse to put active duty military on our streets, supposedly to protect ICE. We have reason to believe that the Trump administration has already begun staging the Texas National Guard for deployment in Illinois. I want to be very clear on this point, and I want to speak directly to the press right now. We know, before anything has happened here, that the Trump plan is to use any excuse to deploy armed military personnel to Chicago. If someone flings a sandwich at an ICE agent, Trump will try and go on TV and declare an emergency in Chicago. I'm imploring everyone, if and when that happens, do not take the bait. Lastly, after about 30 days or so, we believe that they will pick up all of those resources that they send here to Chicago and send them to the next city in a blue state.
New York City.
Ignoring cities in red states with higher violent crime rates than we have. None of this is about fighting crime or making Chicago safer. None of it. For Trump, it's about testing his power and producing a political drama to cover up for his corruption.
Not to mention the Epstein files and what have you. I mean, it's debatable whether or not Donald Trump, just about anything he does, whether he's bombing Venezuela or shooting missiles into Mexico or invading American cities with the military, it's either part of his fascist movement or it's a distraction from the Epstein thing. And he's like a cornered rat, and he will lash out and do anything possible not to get busted. Now, do I think that that's solely the reason? No, I am in agreement with Pritzker here that he is testing the boundaries to see how far he can go with his fascist movement, with his fascist regime. But it is also doing this as a distraction to hide, cover up for the failing economy, all of the tariffs, the foreign wars, and the Epstein files. It all looks really bad. Donald Trump has not done anything good for America since he's been president this second term. Honestly, he didn't really do a whole lot of good during his first term, but this term he has absolutely done fuck all to help any American improve their lives whatsoever. He has just basically done a big tax cut for wealthy people, pardoning a whole bunch of fucking criminals, and they're fleecing not just democracy, but everybody's pockets in the meantime. So, I mean, he has done nothing that has helped improve your life whatsoever. What he's trying to do is to move forward his fascist movement and to distract from all of the fuck-ups that he's done.
If you need any proof of this, that it's all a big show, well, look at who they're putting in charge. Gregory Bovino, a guy who desperately wants to be a reality TV star. He led the cruel adventures of ICE in Los Angeles, and he's been sent here to do the very same thing. Go look at his social media. He terrorizes innocent people and then posts on TikTok edits of himself. Apparently, this is a Trump administration norm, because the last time we saw staged major ICE raids in Chicago, they sent Dr. Phil here to embed with the agents.
I remember that.
So he could get views and likes for his social media. When Bovino pulled these stunts in LA, people got hurt. 2 innocent people died trying to flee his masked agents. ICE opened fire on a vehicle without dangerous provocation. They detained a disabled 15-year-old, drew their guns on him. They have ripped mothers away from their babies and handcuffed 10-year-olds. In Washington, they pulled over firefighters headed to fight an actual wildfire.
Yeah, I just heard about that today. Guys, firefighters about to go into, flames to help save Americans from, rampant forest fires, and they're getting arrested by fucking ICE. I mean, this is some dark ass shit, y'all.
And detained 2 of the firefighters on duty in that effort. And they want to bring all of that to Chicago.
Look, it's pretty good speech. You should probably have a look at it, but ultimately, that's what this is all about. This is Donald Trump, using these things as a distraction and desperately trying to push the envelope to see how far he can go, because ultimately he just wants to be king. He just wants to be a dictator. What did he say the other day? A lot of people are saying A lot of people are saying that maybe we should have a dictator. I'm not a dictator. I don't want to be a dictator, but a lot of people are saying it. That is Donald Trump code for a lot of people are saying this is a lot of people's voices inside of my head want this to happen. When Donald Trump says a lot of people are saying this, it's I want this to happen. It's not like we haven't seen this before. Donald Trump has been doing this for the last 10 fucking years, man. When is, I would say, when are the TFGs, the too far gones, when are they going to, be able to wrap their minds around this, that Donald Trump is no good for America? And he is, y'all remember back when Obama was president? Scandal here, scandal there, little bits and pieces, around. It wasn't perfect, but oh my God, compared to now, every day is just another fucking awful tragedy or another fascistic overreach. It's unfucking believable what we're living in right now. This is the demise of America. We are so goddamn cooked. We're like fucking frying like goddamn bacon. Thank you, Donald Trump, for that. Anything to distract from the fact that you are as corrupt as the day is long and that you want to be a fascist king. Jesus Christ, man. I had a conversation recently with a family member about this, and they told me that they thought that Donald Trump was a blowhard and he wasn't going to do this. And that he's, and I said, well, what happens when they invade New York City? What are you going to do? We're going to have a different conversation, or are you going to be able to explain that one away like you did with L.A.? Because L.A. was, they were just guarding a building. What about D.C.? Oh, well, he's got a plausible reason for this. I'm like, hey, listen to what you're saying. You're making excuses for him. He's got a plausible reason for putting military boots on the ground policing American citizens. Completely unconstitutional. Completely unconstitutional. Right now, he hasn't invaded Chicago, and you're like, oh, well, he's not going to do that. But when he does, are we going to have a different conversation? Or a couple days later, are you going to have an excuse for that? You're going to have an excuse for when Zohran Mamdani wins the mayoral race here in New York in November. When that happens, and Donald Trump sends troops into New York City, armed military into New York City, are we going to have a different conversation then? For some reason, I doubt it, because conservatives will do anything to not own up to their choices and their mistakes. Yeah, I voted for Donald Trump, and I'm going to ignore all the bad stuff he does, because if I had to confront it, then that would mean that all of my decision-making paradigm and all of the things that I base my entire political beliefs on are all wrong and bullshit, and that would hurt my fee-fees, and I'm not going to do that. So I will continue to make excuse after excuse for this fascist, for this autocrat, this wannabe dictator king. Only time will tell. I guarantee you within a couple days he's going to be in Chicago doing exactly what he's doing in D.C., doing exactly what he's did in L.A. He's going to be moving red state National Guard into blue cities. He will do this. He will continue to do this. Look, in D.C., they don't really have, they're not a state. They don't have senators. They don't have Congress people. I think they have one Congress representative for D.C., if I'm not mistaken. But, even their own town's budget is dependent upon federal money allocation for them. Which, by the way, they decreased their funding by over $1 billion this year. So if you were really concerned about crime in D.C., you would allow them to keep that $1 billion so they can increase their police force. No, you don't really care about these crimes. And, these horrible crimes and homicides. By the way, all of the military that is patrolling Washington, D.C., they're in fucking Foggy Bottom. They're in Georgetown. They're not in the high crime areas. They're just there for show. They want to get Americans used to it. By the way, shops, store owners, restaurant owners, they're all in DC. They're all saying that their businesses have been cut in half at the bare minimum because nobody wants to go out while armed military are patrolling the streets. It's fucking spooky. You go out to the tourist stops in Washington D.C. It's barren. Nobody's out. Because nobody wants to be, standing in a tourist area surrounded by military. It's dark times, folks. It is dark times. It's not going to stop with Washington, D.C. It's not going to stop with Chicago. It's going to come to New York. It's going to go to Baltimore. You name the blue city, Donald Trump will do his damnedest to pick red state governors to go, hey, let me have your National Guard. We're going to send them in to protect ICE, which, by the way, they did, was it a day or two ago? They had it might have been just yesterday. They had a huge job fair for ICE where 130,000 people already signed up. I mean, shit, they got the money for it. They got nearly $200 billion. They have more money than most countries' militaries. I think the highest funded militaries, the only ones that are outshine $200 billion worth of funding is us and China. I mean, I don't even think Russia has that kind of funding for their military. And we're using them to police American citizens. Xi Jinping, Putin, Modi, they're all over there laughing their ass off, watching America crumble under the weight of Donald Trump's boot. They're laughing their ass off. They're watching the end of this empire. And Donald Trump is ushering it along. Say what you want about those fascist dictators over there, but, and they're bad. They're very bad. Vladimir Putin is a horrible dude. Kim Jong-un is a horrible dude. Narendra Modi is he is basically the Donald Trump of India. But they are not doing all of the hyper-militarized action that Donald Trump is doing. They are, Donald Trump wants to be one of those guys. He wants to be in that club, and they're all over there having a little meeting, a little laugh and a giggle and a meal, laughing at Donald Trump while he is wrecking, the entirety of the United States of America for his own fucking ego, to cover up for his sins and his corruption and his bullshit. Oh, God damn, man. God damn. Every day it's just something else. And it's just, frustrating the shit out of me. I mean, this is the only thing I can do about it. Just talk to you folks about this. This is the only thing I've got. I don't have any power. I can't do anything to affect any change. But the least I can do is keep you guys informed. So that's what I'm doing. Hey guys, thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed what you saw, please like and subscribe. Keep rocking.